Okay, let's talk about tools. Wood therapy tools, all different types. First thing I want to talk to y'all about is the categories of these tools, because tool identification can get really overwhelming when we are searching for wood sets and tools, and you see all these different tools and you're like, oh my gosh, what is the purpose of this tool? What do I use this for? Wood therapy tools can be broken into three categories, and this is not something that I just made up. This is a standard wood therapy tool treatment order. Each tool is made to serve a specific purpose, and wood therapy as a whole actually follows the heat it, break it, drain it method. They don't call it that, but that is actually the process that happens. In order for wood therapy to be effective, it follows a certain pattern. And the first step in any wood therapy treatment is always to bring blood flow, okay? The reason for that is when you bring blood flow to the area, not only does it bring extra proteins and things like that that are needed for cellulite treatment. Blood flow is essential for cellulite treatment. It helps to repair connective tissue that is growing abnormally. There is a lot within the blood that is just needed overall for healing, but it also serves another purpose. It also heats the area. Anytime you have blood flow that rushes to an area, you have a lot of friction going on, the temperature in that area increases. So that brings us to our first category of tools. It will also always be your first tool that you use in your treatment, and that is the category of heaters. What do your heaters look like? Your heaters are made, you have the rollers that are considered like your diamond tip rollers. They are textured tools, but they are lightly textured. They're not heavily textured tools. So a few examples of those would be like your diamond tip rollers, your cob rollers. You'll have some different shape cob rollers. You may have some that are thinner in the middle that are made for working the hip area, or you may have some loose beaded diamond tip rollers. These are your standard heater tools. Also your ropes. Your ropes for the body are heater tools, okay? When you are searching for wood tools, if you are wondering what is that tool for, look at the way the tool is made. Is the tool lightly textured? If the tool is lightly textured, that is a tool that was made for blood flow. That is a step one tool. It is a heater. These are just a few examples here of what heaters look like. You may see some of the little hand rollers. They look kind of like paint rollers a little bit, and they have a wheel on them that has like a cob roller or a diamond tip roller. That is a heater. You may see some of the little wood tools that have the handles on them with like three little wheels, three little rollers that are lightly textured. That is a heater. There are so many different types of tools that you will see, and you will identify them by their texture. If they are lightly textured, they are a heater, and their purpose is to bring blood flow. This is a step one tool. Your next category are your breaker tools. The purpose that your breaker tools serve are to create a disruption within the area. If you were going to compare this to another type of treatment, This is very similar to what cavitation does. What does cavitation do? It shakes. If you're wondering, how do we manually contour with wood? Well, just think about something for a second. What do these tools do? They heat. What does radio frequency do? It heats. Then we have our next category of tools. All right. These tools create vibration within the area. You can see it on the body while you're using them. They are made and constructed to apply a gentle pressure in the fat layer. And they're also constructed so that whenever you use them, not only are we creating a gentle pressure, we are also creating a vibration within the area. So pressure plus vibration, what does that sound like to you? Isn't it crazy how much this mimics our machines? This is a manual form. This is a manual breaker. These are your breaker tools. This category is much smaller. Typically, your breaker tools, your heavily textured tools, these tools, typically you have several different types of mushroom rollers or mushroom tools, which are these tools right here. And you will have several different types of cube rollers, okay? And I have a couple of different cube rollers here. This is your breaker category. These tools do not require that you put pressure. You know why? They're made. They're specifically made this way to give the pressure that is needed by just applying them to the skin with movement. They are going to apply the pressure that is needed because of the way that they are made. This is your breaker category. All right. If you are looking at tools, your heavily textured tools will always be your breaker tools. These tools will always follow a heater. Blood flow, disruption. What happens when you exercise? When you are going through the natural motions for your body to remove fat, what is the first thing that happens? Heart rate accelerates. Heart rate accelerates. What happens when the heart rate accelerates? The body temperature increases. Blood rushes to the area. That's exactly what this tool does. What's the next thing that happens? Muscles contract. What happens when muscles contract repeatedly? You create a disruption and a vibration within the area. So if you're not noticing what I'm getting at, all of these things follow a specific pattern. Basically what I'm saying is we are tricking the body into something that it does naturally on its own to eliminate fat through a tool. That is no doubt what we are doing. Your third category of your tools. These are your last step tools. These are your drainers. What is the purpose of these tools? We have heated the area. We have hopefully disrupted some fat cells with our breaker tools. But what are we going to do with the contents that's just sitting in that extracellular fluid or in that extracellular space now? Well, we need to move it towards the closest and best lymphatic location. So we have Swiss cups. What are Swiss cups? Swiss cups are a manual vacuum. These cups must produce a suction in order to move extracellular fluid to, this is your broom. This is your cleanup. This is what you are closing your session with, are your drainers. I want you to imagine that this is like a vacuum cleaner and this is like a squeegee. So imagine that you have pulled the drain from the bathtub and most of all the water has been sucked down the drain. We've moved what we can with the Swiss cup, but there's still just a little bit remaining in the extracellular space, like that area in the back of the bathtub that we kind of have to take our hand and sweep it towards the drain. That is the purpose of your contour boards. And you can see these contour boards have different shapes, and that is so that you can twist and turn this board to contour to different body shape areas when you are using it. These are your drainer tools. Your drainer tools will always be contour boards or cups. These are your step 3 tools. These tools are meant to move extracellular fluid to the lymphatic portal. And to an extent, I'm going to tell you something. When you pop these cups towards these main lymphatic areas that are populated with lymph nodes, part of the way that you move fluid from a lymph node to get it to push through the lymphatic system to the circulatory system is with a light pump. When you pump, there are vacuum chambers inside lymphatic capillaries. So what I'm saying is, when you get fluid onto the lymphatic portal, you stimulate it to open. What allows these little, inside these branches are like little beads that are encapsulated in a tube. What allows fluid to move from one chamber to the next? A pumping motion allows that chamber to open and release fluid to the next chamber. And as fluid is moved from one lymph node, you have a little line of other little chambers that are waiting to release fluid into that lymph node. And that is how things move throughout the lymphatic system to the circulatory system. So when we are using these cups and we are routing this fluid to these heavily populated lymphatic locations, not only are we cleaning up our space and doing our job of getting that extracellular fluid onto the lymphatic portal, we are also stimulating some of these lymph nodes to release fluid so that it can push on to the lymphatic system. That is why a good suction with this cup is so important. That is the purpose of the cup. That is why it is shaped like this. That is why it's shaped like this, to draw in, to form a suction, to move extracellular fluid, to create a pop, which is in turn going to signal the lymphatic system also to move. It's not only going to stimulate it to receive, it's going to stimulate it to move. So these tools are drainers. Your drainers are always going to be your cups or your boards. This is a very small category. These are your step 3 tools. Now I want to talk to you about a couple of tools that can be considered combo tools. There aren't a lot of them, but there are a few. 2 of them that I own and that most of you will have is the bell roller here. This tool can serve as not only a drainer, but also a heater. You see this little lightly textured roller in here? This tool right here is really good to use in areas that maybe it's a little bit harder to get your heater in there because it's such a small, you know, area to work within. The insides of the thighs, I use this a lot as a heater on the insides of the thighs. But this tool can also be used as a drainer, because if the tool is made correctly and the roller does not protrude too far from the cup, it will still allow for a suction if needed. I also use this tool a lot on butts because it's easier for me to move on curves of the body than some of the heater rollers. This is what they call a mermaid tail. This tool has two purposes. The only purpose I use it for, I do not use this tool for a contour board. The reason why is because it's so thick, and I'm going to go over that in just a second to talk to you guys about some different tool types. But what I do use this tool for is, you see this is a heavily textured end. This is a breaker. Do you know what I love to use this tool for? Banana rolls under the butt cheeks. When I'm working to eliminate banana rolls under the butt cheeks, I love to use this tool in a sawing motion like this as a breaker, because it is a lot easier to get in when you're really getting into those banana rolls and you're working the insides of the thighs from the back. You are getting, in order to target that effectively and well, you really need to get close to the tootie area to completely, you know, eliminate that banana roll. And that's really hard to do with some of the heavier breakers on certain areas. So I will use this as a breaker in tight spaces. It was meant to also double as a contour board. However, I want you guys to take a look at the difference in thickness, okay? There are a few things when we are shopping for tools that we want to look at, and you won't know a lot of this in the beginning when you're shopping for wood tools. And so that's why I want to tell you guys about it, so you don't waste money on a set that you end up deciding to replace later when you feel like you have become more experienced in wood therapy, you're doing a lot of the treatments, you feel like you fully understand the entire process. A thin contour board is going to move fluid better than using like a 2x4 to do it. You really need that thin edge for fine tuning on a contour board, and the thicker the board, it's just not going to move that fluid as well. It's also going to be really aggressive on the client's skin, and we don't want that. A successful wood treatment will leave no swelling behind, just a fine-tuned finish. So a thinner contour board is one thing that you need to look for in a set. Hands down, one of the most important things to look for in a set, you know, all of these rollers, you know, these little heaters and the cube rollers and all of that. I mean, pretty much all of these are pretty just standard run of the mill. If you're using wood therapy a lot, you're not going to want extremely heavy tools. I will tell you that. Holding my black cube roller in comparison to this one right here, this is a very heavy tool. I'm going to get tired a lot faster using this tool than if I use my lighter cube roller. So that is one thing to look for in wood tools, is lighter weight rollers. If they're extremely bulky and heavy, you may want to compare shipping weight on some of your tools to know if the rollers are extremely bulky. The cups, though, are the most important. I want to show y'all some differences here. I'm going to get up close to the camera so that you can see. Okay. I want for you guys to look at the lip on this cup right here. Do you see how rounded and smooth and how thick that coating is? I mean, that is a thick rim on that cup. Not only is it a thick rim, it's sanded really nice. It's rounded. This is gonna glide over the body so easily, no irritation. It's going to immediately form a really good suction. So let's take a look at the rim on this cup. This is like paper thin almost. The edges are not rounded right here. They're very blunt. When we go to attach this to the skin, not only is it, as we're moving the tool, not only is it going to borderline, just almost scratch the skin, it's also not going to form as good of a suction. You see this big dip cut out in this cup right here? This is going to really get on your nerves while you're doing a wood treatment, because on certain areas of the body, it's not going to want to form a good suction. This is also a thinner rim on this cup. The edges are also not smoothed and rounded. This is going to be aggressive on the skin. The more aggressive you are on the skin, the more potential for swelling. Swelling on a wood treatment does not make for good after photos. It's also, we also don't want to do a wood treatment, you know, on our client and then be swollen after treatment. When you hear people say that swelling post wood therapy is normal, don't buy that. The only time anybody ever says that is when they don't know how to properly do a successful wood treatment. That is not true. You have truly become a master of your craft where wood therapy is concerned when you can do an effective treatment with no swelling. The goal of wood therapy is to remove fluid, not to create inflammation, irritation, and more swelling within the area. So you can look at the difference in these tools. Y'all look at this sad little roller right here. What in the hell? Look, what am I going to do with that? I can't even use this as a combo tool. You know why? Because the roller is too deep in the cup. When I put the cup on the skin, it doesn't even touch. This would be a wasted tool for me. This was a wasted tool for me. I bought it. I didn't know crap about wood therapy tools, and it's a waste. So you look at these, you see this one kind of back and forth, and then look at this baby right here. This is just a nice tool. Look at how thick this coating is. Think about how good you can clean and sterilize these tools in comparison with this. And I'm going to tell you something. These sets, my black set that is hands down the best wood. If I got all of my wood out on the bed right now, guys, you would die at how much wood I have. Just know I've ordered a lot of sets. This black set, I have 2 of these, is hands down one of the best wood therapy tools sets I have ever found. From the finish to the overall construction of the tools, the quality, the durability. A 7-piece wood set of this set cost me $189. Guys, I'm quite sure that whenever I bought this set that came with several other tools, that it was like $249. So we are overpaying for tools that are not even as good of quality. And people ask me where to get these tools. Believe it or not, I have searched high and low, and there is only one distributor that carries these tools. I have looked at some of the very expensive tool suppliers. You know, the ones they're selling sets for almost $400, and their quality is not as good as these. They're not made the same. This set can be found. Well, for one, this is going to be in the group, so you guys will have access to the link. But I'm going to tell you right now, on Etsy, Colexan, Colexan. Search for her store. She sells these tools. On eBay, search for Colexan, Colexan. Find her seller listing, find her seller profile. You will see her wood tools listed. This is going to be my wood tool recommendation. Overall, these are the most gentle and durable tools that you can use. With that said, do we have any questions over the wood tool identification? The categories that the tools fall into. We have heaters, breakers, drainers. You will identify your heaters by they are lightly textured tools. Your breakers are heavily textured tools. Your drainers are your boards and your cups. Do we have any questions over what categories you would put tools into if you were shopping to build your own set? Any questions over anything that I've covered so far? Because we are fixing to take just a brief little bathroom break and come back and talk about how to sanitize these wood tools properly. So before we do that, does anybody have any questions over what we've covered so far? No questions? Okay, guys, everybody, let's take, if anybody needs to use the bathroom or anything, let's just take a brief little break real quick in between sections to go use the bathroom, whatever you need to do, maybe get a drink. And we'll be right back for the next portion of wood theory.